Welcome to Zentangle Quickies. My name is Heather Hartwick Gladden. I'm a certified Zentangle teacher, and today we're going to take a look at the Tangle Flux. Now, in the spirit of keeping with it being a quickie video, I'm going to share Maria's version of Flux. Now, Maria Thomas and Rick Roberts are the founders of Zentangle, and what's so neat about them is that they each have their own style and way of doing things. And if you've watched any of their videos, you will find that. And if you haven't watched any, please seek them out. And it should have, the Zentangle logo on them that looks like this right here. Okay, and they're fantastic to watch. All right, so we're going to do Maria's version. And I'm going to, see, and looking at hers, it can grow. So I'm going to pretend like this is a piece of a larger tangle. And let's see, this is going to be like part of a string, we'll say. And for those of you who are not familiar with Zentangle, one of the things that we do is we put 4 quarter dots in on our tiles. We then do a border, and then we put down a string, which is essentially dividing up that space. So if you didn't know, now you know. And do seek out a certified Zentangle teacher that is doing some kind of a basics type of class. I call mine Zentangle Essentials. My website is listed in the description, and you can click on classes there and see when I'm offering one and all the other classes. All right, so that now you know what those pencil marks are. Now this one, I am going to, how am I going to start here? I'm going to start right here. So we're going to do kind of one side and then the other side. And it's essentially, it's kind of like, let me turn it, I like to turn it this way. I'm drawing a curved line that kind of goes into an orb. And when you get about here, you can stop. And then just come back and with a curved line and meet to that point where you started. I forgot what I was going to say. I get sometimes so involved in my thinking on these. Okay, and then we're gonna kind of come up the same line and do the same thing. But what I'm doing partly is I'm reaching over, to this string line. Now this one I didn't hit it so well, but that's okay. But again, reaching up and over. Oh, I know what I was about to say. So in the step outs, now I might post step outs that look a little bit different. I actually, for whatever reason, learned this one just a little bit different than I see how Maria does it. And that's okay. It's kind of still the same result. And then I'm going to do that one there. And there we go. Now, I turn my towel this way because, actually, for me, this way is backwards. I would usually start it this way, but for whatever reason, I've started it to the left. And I have found that for my hand and my brain, it just works better for me to do it this way. You will find out what works best for you and do it. All right, so now I'm going to do this opposite side here. And, and if they turn out a little bit weird, don't fret. It's all okay. Sometimes I like to have mine a little bit more bulbousy, if that's a word. It is now, because I made it. And actually, I say, looking at hers, it all turns out okay. It doesn't matter. And then, because I'm kind of hitting off the page here, and there we go. And so it kind of fills this space. And I suppose you could do this without having, string space. You could just do it on its own and have it grow however you would like to have it grow. Now, the next step in this one is right where, where all of these big gaps are. We're going to put a nice big orb. And I also say don't fret, because there's no such thing as a mistake in Zentangle. Ooh, that's a big orb. And there are always, I call them course corrections. There are ways that we can, make things look more like how we want them to turn out, or how we think that they should turn out. And some of it also does come from, just practicing and playing with Zentangle. Okay, so once you have these orbs, we're just going to fill in the rest. We're going to fill in some more orbs. I like to do these ones just right in a row. I'm using an 01 micron pen. And it's nice because look, it's like you can get so tiny. And also the reason that we say orbs is a lot of mine sometimes are more like ovals. You know, saying circle is a little bit too pressureful sometimes. And that's what we want is orbs. I'm going to put a little one right here. So you kind of like, I'm just kind of filling the space with orbs. And even down here into the bottom. It's a little hard when I'm going off of the paper. And, oops, and then here. What's nice about all tangles is that you get to put kind of your own spin on it, just like Rick and Maria do. As I mentioned, Rick's is a little bit different. His version is more leafy, and it's just nice because it's one of those. It's okay. You know, we look at the step outs, we find out, okay, here's how this tangle is to go. And now, if you make it too different, then of course it's no longer that tangle anymore. But, you know, like I said, we all have our own handwriting. We're going to do some things just a little bit different. And it's fun. And it's fun to play with these. And I know I've heard Maria say on some videos, it's almost like they're kind of like guidelines, so to speak. And, you know, where some, like the videos, the intent is not to copy. And then I'm just going to fill the rest in. So I started, you know, from here and worked in. And now I'm going to just kind of fill the rest, the other areas here. And I'm just going to go to this string line just because it's kind of neat to do that. But I know I've watched some of Maria's videos, and, you know, she said the intent is not to copy exactly, you know, what we're doing, but just to kind of as an example. And that is neat. And but I'm the type that, you know, no, I'm going to copy what you're doing because I'm how to say creatively challenged. I'm not creatively challenged. I don't consider myself an artist. I do know though that I can do these elemental strokes and I can do them pretty well, and I can follow directions pretty well. And the joy that I get a lot of times is in recreating. And so I say, go with your joy. And if you need to, you know, if you're, you know, super creative and you know, just, it's like, well, I like that concept and I'm going to do this. That's okay. Sometimes maybe just a little too stuck in rule orientedness. And this is also art. It's also art whose objective it is to help with meditation or mindfulness, to be stress-free. So if, you know, there's something that, you know, that you're doing, if it's stressing you out, well, let's figure it out and not do that anymore. So you can have a great experience with Zentangle. All right. Oh, look at how neat. Now, I want to share something. So I was not happy with how my flux looked right at the beginning. And because it was just, I felt it was all messy, and these didn't turn out the way I liked them. And I share that because I didn't like it, but now I'm looking at it and I'm like, whoa, that looks so cool with all the orbs in there. So sometimes it's, you know, if you don't like something, just kind of like put it on pause in your brain, or, you know, push it, put it in a little box, and you'll come back to it later after you finish and see where you're at. Now, the next step is kind of up to you, where we could do some shading. One of the things that I personally like to do when I have this kind of a tangle, this kind of a stroke here, is I like to just put a little comma, I call it a little swoosh. Just because I do it quick, try not to think about it, and where I lift the pen up quickly, because then you get like this taper where you lift it off. So I just a little comma like that on, you know, on that bulbous side like that. You know, so without even shading, it looks kind of cool, and that adds a little something to it. Now, if you want to do some shading, this is the other course correction. So it's like if you think things aren't going the way you like them, number one, wait till it's all done, and then assess and see how you feel. And then there's a couple things. One is shading. I think the biggest one is when we do fill-in, but this one we don't really have any fill-in opportunities. but we do have shading. Oh, well, now let me take that back, because I just did a class, and one of the gals was fixing something she didn't like and decided to color all of these in. So there you go. If you really don't like it, yes, you can color it all in. But then the idea is to do whatever that is, and then do it consistently throughout. And then the only person that knows is you. And kind of like, just like magicians, we don't, only we know our tricks, and nobody else would know. And even another tangler is not going to necessarily know. They're just going to go, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. And you'll go, oh, thank you. and be pleased with that. So now I just put some graphite in the middle here. I'm going to, I'll use this. So I'm using, this is a woodless graphite pencil. And I'm using that. Sometimes I think I'm going to switch to my little golf pencil. I think the graphite is a little bit softer, and I can move it a little bit more. So, and I'm just using my tortillon, and I'm spreading it out this way. So as you can see, now it's created this neat effect where, it's kind of making it bendy, like it's folding in. Now, the other thing that I sometimes will do is where, kind of where I've had this little swoosh mark, is I'll also throw some graphite down there. And I would start with just a little bit, especially if you're new to Zentangle. Just start with a little, because what we want to have is contrast. And if we put too much and we spread it too far, then we've just shaded in the whole thing, and then that kind of defeats the purpose. And that's what we don't want to do. So I put a little here, and sometimes, and depending on how long or the shape, I might, bring it down a little bit. But what I want is to kind of keep this part and this part open. And it just, oh my goodness, as I'm looking in my camera, it just kind of starts to bring it a little bit to life. It does. And then too, say on this side, I didn't get this side out too much, and so I want to bring some of that graphite out. And some of it gets stuck on remains on the tortillon, so always feel free to use it, especially if you just think you need just a little touch. Try that first, and then see where you need to go. And so that creates a really neat effect like that. Now, something else, could do this one of two ways. I'm going to do it the second of the two ways in my mind. You could, and depending on the size, you could put some graphite along the edge and blend it in. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to put the graphite still on the edge, but on the outer edge versus the inner edge. I'm going to put it on both sides. And tortilla. And then I'm going to spread the graphite out into the rest of the tangle. And I did put it, I put this on rather thick because, number one, I know how the graphite works on these tiles, and I also knew that I wanted to have it thick. So I share that because, again, if you're new to Zentangle or just kind of playing, and depending on how you feel about shading, how confident you are, again, you can always add more. So you could start with a little less. But that's kind of neat, so it kind of pops the whole thing up above the tile. If we were to make this sort of three-dimensional from the one-dimensional, or maybe we call it two-dimensional, so it kind of pops it up this way a little bit, just from doing this on the outside. And one thing you can play with is you could go even darker. I like to just make sure that I have a nice gradient. That's always my goal. I don't like that line. And then too, you can spread it out a little further if you wish. Just depends on, what you have, what you're doing, and how your tangle speaks to you. So there we have Maria's version of Flux. And I will probably do Rick's version. I don't think I've done that in this series yet, so I will make sure to add that, and I will, when I do, I will link it here. But do subscribe. Click the subscription. Somebody pointed out sometimes people think subscriptions are paid. This on YouTube, it's not. Click subscribe so that way you're notified when I put out a new video. If you like it well enough to be notified, that would be great. All right, and with that, information is in the description box. Please leave comments if you like. There's ways to connect listed on the description box, and would love to see you either at a class or on our Facebook group, or whatever works for you. So with that, I wish you happy tangling.